airway adjunct in, I think the NPA was good because as the sedation wears off, or in his case the hypoglycemia wears off, you know, I'm potentially not introducing a gag or laryngospastic type risk. So, you know, for me, as he comes up and as he did, he got up and retreated out of there, he would have been able to reach up and pull the thing out of his nose and not have that and everything else, giving me another risk in the risk-benefit one. You know, my airway bag wasn't open, but it was at my left buttock. It was right there behind me.
Don't have a problem with the NPA.
No,
the NPAs are like, I don't think you'd escalate that any further. I don't think your patient would tolerate any further.
Post-sedation in theatre, when you do theatre, quite often they are in theatre with LMAs hanging out. You know what I mean? And they pull it out, or they've got OPs and they're just there with a non-rebreather on and just positioned properly. And sometimes the nurses stand there giving a bit of jaw support, you know, when they're snoring. And then as they come out, they'll spit the OP out. It's not a big deal, you know. But I think, like, you know, you talk about your positioning and, you know, and stuff like that, and that's okay. Like, every case is different. But you talk about the airway management. That was your main concern. One of the concerns, I think, myself, that I could see, was the actual airway management. I don't think it was to an assisted level. And you were at the airway. You know what I mean? Let alone some of the other critical points in the SIM, which is what Luke is trying to say.
I think this is probably within the training days and this time coming up. This is probably the first circumstance where you disagree with our feedback, and I think we need to look at what we do in this circumstance. This is being fair, and you know, I've said to you all along, this is just not the world according to me. This is about the world according to the standards and process and fair and equitable process within there. So I think, like, we've given you a dependent overall, and the dependent overall is based on a little bit of the run of the SIM, that makes reference to the checklist, that makes reference to the early identification and management of an organic cause. Happy to look at the video again with you, and I think that we should do that at some stage and compare notes. I also think that I've been part of this SIM today, so that we'll send this back up to Brisbane or down to Brisbane, and we'll have Mel or Tash and have a look at it, and they can have a look at it.
Oh look, the glucose is at 16 minutes. You know, that doesn't meet the requirement of that, and that's written in black and white. If it's not done at this time, this happens. I can't argue with that. But for me, doing it, I wasn't aware of time. I heard Warren say at one point you have 10 minutes to go, and it was just or shortly thereafter that I had him rolled laterally, and then I felt at the position I was at, I was suitably tasking things to be done. You know, I truthfully sit here and see the feedback and agree with the feedback that my glucose, my glycemic assessment should have been done earlier. I can see that. You know, the robot noises and everything else like that. You know, your psych patients and previous ones that I've had, you know, with Drew kicking off, he was making robot noises and random noises, and that was an ABD cytopleurian case. You know, that's not something that I would have clearly delineated as being different from one to the other. You know, and whether that falls back up into my pathology, physiology review on it, I don't know. But for me, I would recognise, without cues elsewhere, you know, the CPM clearly states if you have an onset of an ABD over the age of 40, you need to consider organic causes. He was 30, so, you know, for me, I didn't reach that red flag to sit there and go, there's something else going on. If in my awareness that I'd found the ampule sitting on the table and I'd sort of gone, you said as you find it, I've gone, well, is that a part of the SIM? What's that? And it was prescribed that it was his Nova Rapid. I think I would have substituted things around and everything else. But those environmental or those scene clues weren't there for me to pick up on that. And I'm not saying they should have been.
No, but like I've just went through here. Allergies unknown, medications unknown, previous medical history unknown, last date unknown, events leading up unknown. Pretty much the scene is just this is an undifferentiated ABD patient. and part of our process as a as a clinician in that scene is to try to, or any clinician in any case, is to take that undifferentiated patient and try to provide a differential within that setting. Now, your first part of that, your ABD, your safety approach to that patient, fine, good. The second part, which is reference to the checklist and the provision of the assessment to identify a reversible delayed, and then in overall, the reason why we put it down in that area is that the delay in forward progression with that SIM, for a while there was nice communication at the start, and then there were pauses in communication. It was like a reactive process, waiting for something to happen, waiting for our patient to become decreased in their SAT score. Well,
isn't that what we're supposed to be doing when we do that for safety?
Well, let me finish.
Sorry.
So while that's occurring, then is there that process where we can plan and talk about, what haven't we thought of in this circumstance? Could this be organic? If it isn't organic, then how are we going to identify? What are we going to do to start treating down that pathway? I think the fair thing to do, because it's obvious that you disagree, I think the fair thing to do is for us to have a look at it together, and then if we still disagree after that process, then it's the third umpire in Brisbane that has a look at it and has a chat. But as per the timings on the SIM,
I don't mean it.
I guess the feedback within there is, what are the positives?
I felt much better with it. I felt in control. I felt systematic. I felt that I performed the relevant things.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I got the BBL around the wrong way, but it was done as a part of my tasking. It was done as a part of that, and I thought that was all positive. My biggest negative was I truly felt that I had lost control of that police officer when it was sort of retreating out of the room to turn around, and they'd engaged into the patient. It might have been different had I been going out the room and the patient was on me, the police officer's intrinsic behaviour or subconscious, unconscious behaviour was, I need to protect them, protect the public, I'm taking them down as we're retreating. That might have been a different situation, but we'd all walked out the door and I turned around and they'd gone in. That was my biggest negative in that, along with the fact of being aware of, my crew skill mix and scopes, was a situation of, my uni student observer could have appropriately been tasked better, but would I trust an observer or third year student to look after the airway? No. No given day of the week would I can trust someone of that skill set to be in that situation.
But you'd trust her to hold on to a guy was he managing his own airway majority of the time? Except he probably didn't have the best looking airway, bit of a beard, he's some jowls there, he's in his 30s, a bit overweight, but you had him positioned laterally, bit of jaw thrust, he sedated down. With clear instructions, she could have done that. It probably would have been a better tasking than her trying to get the cannula, for example, because realistically, if you reviewed, like you've already said, and it took 2.5 minutes and you think, oh, this is taking too long, imagine if that was real time, real life, real patient actually doing the cannulation.
It would have probably reached the glucagon.
Especially if they're hypoglycemic,
Probably would have reached the glucagon to stop that.
Well, that's another option too.
Do you think it will work on him? Like, has he got muscular stores? Does he?
Looking at him in the state he was, I would suggest probably.
Yeah.
Didn't come across as an alcoholic. Didn't present. Look, I didn't look at his abdomen to identify a hepatic megaly or anything like that, a big and large liver, to say that there was some cirrhosis or something going on, to say that it wouldn't be effective.
Yeah.
But at 30 and his stature and habitus, I would think it probably would work.
Solid build. He looks like he works out. So potentially. But I guess these are the things that we need to look at now.
I'm sorry, I'm getting defensive about it, but I'm just.
Ben, you don't have to apologise, mate. You're giving your perception and your opinion on where you're at the moment, and I value that. I'm not taking offence whatsoever with what you're saying. I wish we could come to a happy medium, but sometimes this just happens, Ben, that we don't. Part of this process, like I said from the beginning, is to provide your feedback, but to do it in a fair process where once we do that, we need to review. Like, if you agree with us, great, you've taken it.
I guess, Ben,
if you haven't, then
I guess one way I would look at this when I did the program years ago is the guys in the room are giving me the feedback based off wanting to make me a better clinician, and today you've already said to us that you had 13 years of experience. Your experience may not have, or through that experience, you may not have recognised what an agitated hypoglycemic patient will present like, as opposed to someone off his drops of methamphetamine or alcohol, right? So, but you've got 3 CCPs in the room, one of which is your clinical coordination for the course, all saying we've been to these situations and sedated numerous amounts of times for different areas, whether they're head injured, trapped in a car, as opposed to a hypoglycemic patient like this. And so the experience we're giving you back from the dependent role, we haven't taken that lightly. We've sat down and really discussed this out, and that's okay for you to feel like that, and to perceive where you think you may be. That's good. That's why we do this, So, and the process is so fair that you can look at the video again with Luke, and either the grading will change, or the third umpire will have a look at it, And I think it's a really fair and equitable system. It definitely even fairer than what it was when we went through the course. We didn't even have that third umpire type, so we didn't videotape these things. So I think it's really, really fair, and you should do that. I encourage you to do that. Watch the video again.
Why don't we have a pause for a while? Have a breather. You come back in when you want to sit down. We'll have a look at it. Don't, Ben, please, mate. We know that you're working hard on this, mate. This is about providing some guidance and some feedback to help you along the way. So sometimes it's not good to hear. Sometimes we need to work through the process. But you get the opportunity to have a look at it and talk through it with me, mate. And you know what? We'll do that. We'll have a drink. We'll have a bit of a relax.
Well, I'd say lunch should be delivered.
Let's do that, mate. Let's do that.
Lunch and food always fixes things, mate.
There you go.
I haven't got any tissues, but. Happy to switch the camera.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Do it, mate.